Continuing the Maimer Vehaya Ekev Tishmun that the Rebbe said on Shabbos Mevarchim Elul Tafshin Yud Aleph, where the Maimer started with a few questions on the pasuk Vehaya Ekev Tishmun, and the most important thing is, why do we say that V'shamar Hashem Aleikecha es lecha es habris v'es hachesed asher nishba lavisecha, which are three things. Bris, Chesed, and Shvuah, all of those things are not things that are dependent. The whole concept of Bris, the whole concept of Chesed, a covenant, kindness, Shvuah, an oath, are all things which are regardless and they're not dependent on anything else. How can we say regarding these things in the simple meaning of the pasuk Ekev Tishmun that it's a condition, it's conditional to your listening to the mitzvahs? These things are a eternal connection between Hashem and the Jewish people that's not dependent on anything. And the other questions was, why do we say Tishmu Ekev, the word Ekev rather than the word if? And also, why do we say Mishpatim, if Mishpatim is usually something, when the Rashi says that Ekev means a heel, the mitzvahs that a person usually steps on with his heel, they're not important for him. If there's mitzvahs that a person tends to overlook, that's not going to be the mishpatim. The mishpatim are the mitzvahs that make sense. Those are usually the things that a person is much more powerfully connected to. It's usually the chukim, or even the eidos, which is the mitzvahs that don't make sense logically, that a person would overlook. And so in order to explain all of this, the Rebbe goes on to explain the famous statement of the Zohar, that the Zohar says, Slas Kishrin, Miskashran da beda, there are three ties that are tied one to the other. Yisrael ba'iraisa, the Jewish people are tied to the Torah. Va'iraisa b'kutshubricho, and the Torah is tied to Hashem. There's three ties. There are three things in the world which are connected to each other, and through each one of them they connect the other to the other, to all the other ones. Which is the Torah connects itself to the Jewish people. The Jewish people connect themselves to the Torah. And as a result of the Torah connects the Jewish people to Hashem. And there's the famous idea also, which is not brought right here now in the Maimer, but that the Rebbe explains that why is it called three knots, three ties? It's two ties. The Torah, the Jewish people connect to the Torah, and the Torah to Hashem. And the Rebbe says because there's another tie between Hashem and the Jewish people, which is an essential tie, that no matter what, Hashem is always connected to the Jewish people. And on the contrary, in a certain way, as a result, the Jewish people add to the Torah, and like the famous statement that David Haya Mechaber Torah Shelemayla b'Kutshabrichu. David used to connect the Torah of above to Hashem, which means that the Torah receives, in essence, from the Jewish people, and as a result, the Torah receives a deeper connection to Hashem, the connection that the Jewish people have. So this concept really makes the question that we asked earlier even stronger. There's an essential connection between Hashem and the Jewish people that's beyond their connection to the Torah. So how do we say that the idea of the connection of Hashem to the Jewish people is dependent on the connection to the Torah? So in order to understand this, we have to understand also the whole idea of what is this connection of Hashem in the Torah and the Jewish people. That the Zohar says, V'chulu dargin al dargin v'sasim v'galia. Each one of these ties, the tie of Hashem and the Jewish people, and the tie of the Jewish people to the Torah, are all one level, above a level. There are different levels, one above the other, and each one of them includes hidden and revealed. What does that mean? That the connection that there is between the Jewish people and the Torah, between the Torah and Hashem, is not just in the hidden level of the Jewish people, which means the highest level of the neshama. Seemingly, we would think that the Jewish people connect to the Torah with the essence of their neshama, the highest and deepest level of the neshama. And so also the Torah connects to Hashem in the highest and deepest level of the Torah. Says the Zohar, no. Even in the revealed levels of the Jewish people, even in the revealed powers of the soul of a Jew. Not only that, but the Rebbe adds now an amazing thing, even in the revealed powers of the animal soul of a Jew. Even that connects to the Torah and as a result to Hashem. And that's the ultimate idea, that the connection of a Jew to the Torah is not only in his deepest essence, but in every single aspect of a Jew. Even the animal soul of a Jew, it's continuously in every aspect of a Jew is connected to the Torah, as a result, it's all connected to Hashem. How does that happen? So that's why the Zohar specifically uses the word tlas kishnin. There are 3 ties, 3 knots that are connected with one another. Seemingly, if the Zohar uses a word, it should be tlas dveikin. There's 3 things that connect each other. The Torah connects to the Jewish people connect, we're mizdabik. We cleave and connect to the Torah, and that the Torah connects to Hashem. That all 3 connect to one another in that way. So the word should be davik, connection. But it's known that the difference between dveikus and iskashrus is a powerful difference. Dveikus is when you have one thing, it connects in the highest spiritual form of connection, it's called dveikus. When 2 things become one. More than that, you can have 2 parts of one thing and they connect. Whereas in order to make a tie, in order that there should be a kesher, you can only tie 2 ends of a rope. You can tie 2 separate ropes to one another. To tie, they have to be 2 separate entities. They're not one thing which are cleaving and connecting in one with one another. And that's the idea of a kesher, is that there's 2 things which are 2 different entities. And that's why we say miskashran, that the Jewish people are connected, not connected, but rather tied to the Torah. Tied to the Torah means in the level of a Jew, where a Jew is an existence on his own, where he feels that he is his own existence, he's down here in a world where he doesn't feel connected to the Torah. And yet even there he's tied to the Torah. The difference between connection and tying is the difference, like we see, with regards to oyer and moir, light and the source of light. We know that part of the essence of light and what makes light shine is the fact that light, by definition, by its very nature, is davik. It's connected. It's one with the moir, with its source. And therefore the whole idea of light is that it's one with the source. It's not a separate thing. And its whole thing is in order to reveal its source. Now what would happen if there's something that separates, if there's a wall that separates between the source and the light that's coming down into the world, then the light wouldn't shine anymore. The only way that the light can shine is when it's connected to its source. Why? Because the whole point of light is the fact that it's not a separate entity, it's revealing the essence, it's revealing the source of light. If it's not revealing the source of light anymore, if there's some type of interruption, it disappears, it can't exist anymore. So you can't say that light is tied to its source, because it's not possible to say tied. It's one with its source, it's connected, it's not a separate entity. Whereas when there's an existence which is a separate existence, no matter how separate, you tie it and it becomes tied to its source. So now on neshama, the spiritual soul, in its real existence, the way it was before it came down into this world, it's davik, it's connected to Hashem, it's totally one with Hashem. You can't say it's miskasher, it's tied to Hashem, because it doesn't tie, it's not a separate entity that it should be able to be tied to Hashem. It's davik, it's like the light, which its entire thing is to reveal godliness. And that's why we say that the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that a tzaddik, even if he's a complete tzaddik, and when he's here in this world, he's serving Hashem with ava, v'yira, v'tanugim, he feels love and awe of Hashem until he takes pleasure in everything that he does in Torah and mitzvahs. He'll never reach the level of his dveikus, of his connection to Hashem that the neshama was before it came down into this world. Why? Because before it came down into this world, it was connected, it was one with Hashem. But once the neshama comes down into this world, then the neshama can't have that same connection because it's now separated. What can it have? Something deeper, something called iskashrus. It can tie itself to Hashem. It can be tied as a separate entity, but in truth, in the end of the day, the difference between dveikus and iskashrus is that even though dveikus means you're totally connected and one with the source, but in the end of the day, you're not totally nullified, you don't become totally given over to the source. Whereas in iskashrus, even though it comes from an existence that's a separate existence, but once there's a knot, there's a tie, it becomes totally dedicated and given over to the source, like we'll see shortly. Now that's the idea of when we say every morning, when we say Elokai Neshama Shenasata Bi, we thank Hashem for the Neshama. There's a famous question. When we wake up in the morning, as soon as we wake up, we say the most amazing and powerful tefillah possible. Moidani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechzarta bi nishmasi v'chemla rabba munasecha. I thank before you Hashem, and you don't say Hashem's name because you're not able to say Hashem's name, because your hands are still unwashed, and deeper than that, you're connecting and giving yourself over to the essence of Hashem. In the time of the Gemara, they were able to say Hashem's name already when they woke up in the morning because they were on a much higher level when they slept. So as soon as they woke up, they said the words Elokai Neshama, like the Gemara says, Kad Isar. When the person wakes up in the morning, then he says Elokai Neshama Shenasata B'Teirei. And yet, now we say Moidani. But then when we finish after Moidani, after Negel Vasser, and after getting dressed, when we say the morning brachas, one of the first brachas after Al Natilas Yodayim and Asher Yatzar, we say Elokai Neshama. Why is there a need to say again Elokai Neshama? I already thanked Hashem for returning my Neshama to me. And the reason is because, even though I thanked Hashem, I said it in a very general way. Now, once I could say the brachas, I have to go now into the specifics, in order to connect the entire journey of my soul as it comes down. That's why it's brought down that the Rebbe Rashab, when he would say Elokai Neshama, first of all, the word Elokai, he would say like someone was saying a Zakev Gadol, those who learn. You know, Elokai with a emphasis on the word Elokai, my God, and stop. And then Neshama Shenasata B'Teirei, and the way he would say it, you would feel the entire journey of Neshama, and in truth, every single one of us. When we're saying it, we're not only describing, but we're actually living and going through the journey of the Neshama. What's the journey of the Neshama every morning? Ata Birasa, you Hashem created it, brought it down into the world of Bria. Ata Yitzarta, you Hashem brought it down into the world of Yitzira, the world of formation. Ata Nefachta Bi, you blew it into me, which means you blew the very essence into the physical body that I have, and Ata Meshamra B'Kirbi, you guarded within me. Now the Neshama, the way it's in Atzilus, before it comes down into this world, the way it's in its very essence, it's Tahira, it's pure. In fact, there are those great rabbis who wanted to say in the Nusach of davening, you shouldn't say the words Tahira, because Tahira is a Neshama, which is a very high Neshama. Most of us can't say regarding our Neshama that it's Tahira, that it's pure. And the Adalter Rebbe did put that into the Nusach. Because in the end of the day, Tahira, the Neshama, despite where it is now, its source still shines and is revealed in it, its purity, the way it is in Atzilus. But then it comes down into Birasa, Yitzarta, Nefachta Bi, and Hashem guards it. What does it mean Hashem guards it? What do you have to guard? Something which is able to be separate, to go somewhere else. Hashem guards it the way it's in this world. It's now an existence. And it has to reconnect its source. How does it reconnect its source? Through Torah and mitzvahs, and that's called iskashrus. And that's what it says in the Zohar. When it says in the Zohar, Tlas Kishrin Miskashran Da Bida, the Zohar is talking about the levels of the neshama, where it's far away, where it's distant, where it's not in a level where Tahira is revealed the purity of the neshama, where it's Birasa, Yitzarta, Nefachta, until it has to be Meshamra B'Kirbi. It has to be guarded. In that place, it's connected through the Torah to Hashem. Its ultimate connection, it's tied, even though it's in a level where it's now separate. And Mitzvah Hashem will continue next time further.